Hello again, everybody. It's Laurie White, president of the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce, and this is episode number 212 of Chamber TV. And today, our special guest is Eva Mancuso, and Eva is the director for the Chafee Center for International Business at Bryant University. How are you, Eva? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Laurie. Happy to be here.
Great. So I know we have so much to catch up on. You have a new position at Bryant, which I want to talk all about. But first, I want to just generally check in with you. You are someone who is very well known in Rhode Island. You've been a prominent lawyer. You've been a prosecutor. You've worked in the governor's office. You've had lots of careers, and you are a tremendous friend of all of us here at the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce. So tell us how you've been doing lately and how you landed your latest position.
Thank you so much. So, it's really interesting, right? Like life is such a journey. So I did start, and my training obviously was a lawyer. I was a trial lawyer for many years, prosecutor, and then from there I pivoted. And it was really when I chaired the Board of Education that I saw that, there's a whole world out there besides the law, and got really interested in the education piece. And a couple of years ago, almost 2.5 years ago now, Governor McKee called me and asked me to join his administration. So for a year and a half, I was special advisor to the governor, working on lots of different projects all around, raising people's incomes and making sure that Rhode Island is the place where people want to be. Laurie, I always say every single time I speak, I'm Rhode Island born and Rhode Island bred, and when I die, I'll be Rhode Island dead. And as you know, that's the URI fight song. So I'm as Rhode Island as you get. And this new position gives me an opportunity to work with our local businesses and take them globally. So I am leading trade shows and trade missions for our companies so that they can protect themselves for any pandemic, the next pandemic, I should say. Hopefully it's not going to be one like we just saw, but there's always shifts in business. So 95% of the consumers live outside of this country. And when I hear that statistic, I say to myself, this is a great way for our Rhode Island small businesses to grow and protect themselves, so that if in fact the economy becomes bad in Rhode Island or in the United States, they still have an opportunity to sell in the global market. It just diversifies what they do. And as you know, relationships is what building is all about. What I do all day, every day, is talk to people and meet people. And there's no better place than the convening of the Chamber of Commerce to meet all of those businesses. What I'm finding now is a lot of the senior management in the businesses are people I went to high school with, or people that I went to URI with, or even some that I went to law school with. But people that are very committed to Rhode Island. So that's what I've been doing in the whirlwind of the last 6 months that I've been in this position. I started in October and I hit the ground running. And that's basically what I've been doing. So it's a challenge in that it's a different field, but it's really the same skills. It's building and working with people and also making it easy. What I bring, I think, different to this position is that I was a small business owner for 30 years. I ran my own law firm. And as a small business owner, I know how difficult it is to focus on something that involves something new. So you can say, build out your brand, or do something different, or bring your market global. Why not look at what can happen in e-commerce? And you're drinking out of a fire hose, just trying to make payroll that week, or just trying to work on whatever you're doing in your day-to-day operations. So it's hard to look at the big picture. And that's one big benefit that we offer here at the Chafee Center. And we'll go through some of the benefits in a little bit, but just the opportunity to be able to give a market analysis or an investigation on a particular company. You know your product, but where else would it be good without, in this world? It's a big global market out there. So that's what I'm doing. So it's exciting, it's fun, and I think it's really impactful for Rhode Island businesses, and that's really why I'm doing it. It's just one more way to help.
Fantastic. So let's unpack a little bit of that, Eva, and go back to the history of the Chafee Center for International Business. It has been associated with Bryant University for quite some time. So can you tell us a little bit about the relationship there and how that really helps to advance the case and the mission?
Sure. So 40 years ago, it was founded here at Bryant, and the initial model is that it would sit outside of direct government influence. And that's very important for international trade because it takes years and years to build relationships. So you can't have it reactive to whatever political party is in whatever political party is in office, or you can't have it based on Republican, Democrat, Independent, what have you. It has to be really agnostic when it comes to politics, and that's very important. And we work really hard at the Chafee Center to do that. We work with all businesses across all spheres, so that's the setup that happens. The funding, I always say, I have three bosses: Bryant University, the Small Business Association, and the State of Rhode Island. So we are the international trade specialists and the designated international trade for the State of Rhode Island through Commerce Rhode Island. So we have one grant that runs through Commerce Rhode Island. We have one grant because we administer the small business grant, which is called the STEP grant, the State Trade. I'm going to forget that, so take that out. The State Trade
Export
promotion, state trade export promotion. We administer that grant, and we've done that from its inception 11 years ago. So we also report then to the SBA as well. So we have three different buckets, so to speak, of which we're funded. And that's sometimes a challenge, but usually we're all rowing in the same direction. The benefit of having it at a private university is, again, it protects it from what can happen in the volatility of a 2 or a 4-year term where people's goals change and what have you. The international focus has to be much more directed, much like you at the Chamber of Commerce, right? You have to have a term to be able to carry things through so that you start something and continue it. So that's basically how the Chafee Center works within the state of Rhode Island.
Okay, so folks that are listening today, they're likely in business. They likely are working for a small to mid-size organization. So they're listening to us today talk about the advantages and the benefits and the opportunities really in capturing a global market. So what we are trying to suggest is that the Chafee Center for International Business is really the first step that people can take if they want to learn more about a particular area, a particular part of the world, a particular set of whatever your industry is and the potential markets open to that. So let's just kind of, think of an example. So I'm running a supply chain company as an example, a manufacturer. Let's just say that, a manufacturer. How would I, Eva, work with you and your team to assess where a good place is for my manufactured product, this pen as an example? How would I know what parts of the world would be open to having a market that would be receptive to this particular pen as an example? And what is that market valued? And is it really, is it a safe place for me to do business? So let's talk a little bit about the logistics. I know you have a fabulous website that we're going to look at in just a few minutes, but first let's just sort of set the stage in the context of how someone might get interested in interacting with you.
That's a great question. And we just started an online training series that we're doing, which is free of charge, that you can go on, and we have lots of resources that are available. So it's a great question. So you look at it and I bet selling your pens, you have a website, and you might already be doing through e-commerce. You might already been doing global sales. You get an order from Canada, and they say, we want to have 50 pens, and you ship to Canada. You know what? You're an exporter. So you sit back and you say, wait a minute, I've been to Canada before. Why can't I go to the UK? Maybe my pen is wanted there. So the first thing that happens is you contact the Chafee Center, and we have, through the STEP program, we have benefits available to you to do the market research. And it's a reimbursement. And we're going to reimburse you 75% of your costs up to a maximum amount. I think it's $3,000 to do that initial market research. But don't hold me on that. The specifics are on the Chafee Center website, going through the STEP program. But the most important thing you do is to do that research early on, because you don't want to start down a path that maybe they don't need your pens in the UK. They need your pens in Asia. And so now you have a different challenge. Now your website has to be in a different language. It has to be set up differently. We're also going to reimburse you 75% of that to get that done so that you can get ready to go global. So those initial steps, we call it market entry or new to market, that's going to set you up. And we have all kinds of different categories too, where we look at women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. And I think it's important for your viewers to hear when I say small business, it's the SBA definition of small business, which is 500 or less employees. So we're not talking about small business in terms of a mom and pop shop around the corner. You'll be surprised the companies in Rhode Island that have qualified for the grant that in the beginning, they didn't even realize that they did. So that initial investigation is extremely important. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go on the website and say, hey, there's a great trade show going on right now in France, and I think I'll go over there and try it out. That's not good, because you don't know whether or not that's going to be a market that you can use. And also when you get there, you have to be ready to do that kind of export. You have to be ready to communicate. You have to be ready to work in that market. So it's like anything else. You start off in those areas, and it doesn't take a long time to build that out. We have resources with the U.S. Commercial Service. We have the Small Business Development Center, which sits at URI. We're very close with them. They do a lot with the international business startups, and we work along with them. So they'll take you from the very beginning, the very first steps as well. And again, we work together on that. I was just in a meeting with their director this morning, and talking about how we can collaborate better and how we can really bring our individual skills to scale on behalf of companies and getting them ready to go global. The next thing that we would do from there, once you are ready, your website's set up, your e-commerce is set up, you've started to penetrate that market. The next part is to look at the trade shows. And we look at trade shows. You then go and you promote your trade show and at the trade show. And you bring your pen with you and you show it. And you start to work on developing buyers through that trade show. And most importantly, you also walk that market. So you get to see what else is going on as well within the industry, and where you can be most helpful to yourself in growing further. What are the gaps? You talked about supply chain, right? So what's needed in this area? Do we really need another pen? Or maybe we need the little elastic that goes inside that holds the pen together. And oh, by the way, I developed that as well. So it's very sophisticated in looking out what you do. And our companies in Rhode Island are amazing in terms of what they're doing. Again, it's a learning experience, but when I sit down with the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association or the chambers, the Northern Rhode Island Chamber, very robust in terms of their outreach to companies, and find out more about what they're doing. It's amazing what we can do here. So now the question is, how do we bring it to scale? How do we get it out of just Rhode Island and get it out into the global world? And that's what we'll help you with.
What questions would you ask a small business, or you're talking about the SBA definition, 500 or fewer employees, so that's a very wide swath. But let's talk about how what questions you would ask yourself as a business professional as to whether or not what you do in life is there any opportunity working with the Chafee Center?
I think the first thing that you do is you join the trade organizations, right? Because as we're seeing now in something like offshore wind, right? Offshore wind is a relatively new concept to the United States. And what we're doing here in Rhode Island is we're building out the supply chain in offshore wind so that we can support what's happening. And we have the CIC downtown where companies can come to the United States and they can start and investigate. They can look at the North American region, and they can be right here in Providence, and their big commitment is 1 month. Now, most companies don't just commit for 1 month, but that's all they have to do to test out a market. So that's something that, in terms of looking at being in the trade and saying, I make this widget right now. How can I make this widget apply to what is the new and up and coming? And the way you get that is through the trade associations. The information that you get by being part of the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association or the chambers or other like-minded people is to talk. It's relationship building. It's to find out what the needs are so that you can pivot, diversify, and be relevant to the next generation of consumers. That's number one. Number two, if you say, I have a product and I know I can take this product and go global with it, you need to be able to make sure that you have the capacity to fill the orders. Because the last thing you want to do, and I'll go back to the simple one that we had before about your pens, the last thing you want to do is get an order for 50,000 pens and you can only produce 10,000. Right? So you don't want to have that false start. So you want to make sure that you have the capacity in-house to do it. And again, we help you with all of that by setting up your business plan. And we don't set it up. We have the consultants that we work with, and we pay for it. 75% of that, reimburse you for it. So all of that upfront work that you're doing on behalf of your company, because again, nobody's more passionate or nobody knows the most about your product than you do, right? So we want you to be able to pitch that, to say, how does this work in the global market? And we give you the contacts, and that's where the chamber becomes so important, and other business organizations. The training that we just started, the international business training online, they help you build, and they're all online. So they help you build your website. They do websites in like 50 different countries right now. So they already have the contacts. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They also know what the local culture is as well, right? If you look at the global scale, I'm learning as I go along as to what the different cultures are, how you approach business people from different cultures, what their trends are, and the way that they conduct business. So it's very important to learn that. And that's something that we help you learn so that, again, you want to start out in a positive way. First of all, you're investing your money. Second of all, you want to be successful. So we want to make sure that when you do launch, you do it successfully.
Just to clarify, you don't have to be a manufacturer of a product. You just have to be in the sector that you are either a distributor or you have products to sell. What about services?
Oh, services also. The products are easier examples, just like with your pen, right? It's an easier example. Services, fintech is huge throughout the country right now, throughout the world right now. They're looking at, especially with AI, and so cybersecurity, and all of these other financial technical issues on how to protect ourselves. Lawyering, international trade is all about agreements, right? How do I, maybe I've never done it, so I think NAFTA is still there. Well, NAFTA's been replaced. So you look at what's happening now. What are the regulations in Mexico or in Canada? And under the new agreements, again, you need lawyers to do that. So you want to make sure you have international lawyers who have experience, not only in this country, but in the country that you're going to. So all of those things. So it's the wide gamut. And again, I just ask you to go to our website and investigate the STEP grant, because you'll see how much it covers in terms of manufacturing, distributors, suppliers, and also financial industries.
Okay, so that's a great segue. Let's take a look at the website.
Okay.
I've been on this for a while. It's very, very comprehensive. It's beautifully designed. And most importantly, I think it's easy to navigate and for people to really jump in and immerse themselves and really feel like they're making some progress, right?
So I'm going to start at the beginning, because I was showing it. Going right to the beginning, which this is it. So it's the World Trade Center, so WTCProvidence.org. Every World Trade Center, the 300 throughout the world, they have the same website that's just a placeholder. So if you were to go to WTC you'll get a placeholder, and you'll click on that and come here to our very robust brand new website here, your bridge between Rhode Island and the world. And it starts out first on what I call the FDI, which is the most important part for us in commerce, and that is bringing people to Rhode Island. Why choose Rhode Island? So you click on that, it gives you all the benefits, establishing a base. But it does more than that, Laurie. It gives you all the resources for getting started. So we have a business, say, in Canada, who's saying, I'm thinking about coming to Rhode Island. What should I do? It lists out everything that has, and then it gives the resources on how to get to us and how to get to Commerce, Rhode Island. It's very easy to navigate. It goes through all of the different processes and steps. So that's one half of trade, right? So one half of trade is the foreign direct investment. Getting companies outside of this country, and I talk about Canada because we're doing a lot right now with our bond, with our local companies. We saw that during the pandemic, right? I have, again, another little quip that I use when I go out and I speak. I say, keep your friends close and your supply chain closer. Because we want to make sure that if in fact we have a situation like we did during the pandemic, we have other available resources that we can go to that are not an ocean away or several planes away. We want to stay local if in fact we can. You know, some can, some can't. But we go through here on getting started and establishing a base, everything on, I would say, that side. So that is people that want to come here. What I spend most of my time on at the Chafee Center is the exporting piece. So starting the exporting, getting started, as you talked about. Here it is, how you get started. It talks about all the World Trade Center programs and resources. You go on that, you get through it, and here we go. This gets you to the State Trade Expansion Program. And that's what we just talked about for new people coming on. We have all of our other resources that are here that you can put through. And again, it's very easily navigated. If you have a certain area that you want to look at, you can go through it all and look at it. I'm just going to push on the State Trade Expansion Program right here because we did talk about it a little bit, and populate how it goes through. Here are the guidelines. Benjamin Weinstein is the step director. He works here at the Chafee Center. This has all the program guidelines, and you can see as you go through, it's going to populate each and every document so that you can walk through it on your own. Here's all the guidelines set up. Do their investigation first before making a phone call. Go on the website. That's how you get started. I think it's really important for companies to look at what they're good at and define themselves before they try to go global. Why? Because I can't tell you what your best asset is. You know what your best asset is. You know what you do for a living. What we have to do is we have to figure out how it pivots or how it's right within what we're doing. Finding global partners. I think this is very important as you, again, begin. And I'm clicking on it here, looking at all of our different trade shows. So what we'll do is we'll do the trade shows and the trade missions. And that's what I run here at the Chafee Center. That's what we handle, is we do set up the trade shows. We usually do 2 trade shows a year that we actually lead. But it's really important to know that the STEP program reimburses companies up to $10,000. $10,000 for trade shows that they want to go to on their own. So say you are a financial person and there's a trade show that happens every year for people that sell a certain kind of commodity, and it takes place every year in France. Well, we're not going to lead that. It's too small, right, to be able to lead that under the STEP grant. But you want to go. You apply with under the STEP grant. You apply here, and within a week, we let you know if you are eligible. We say you're eligible. You go to the trade show. You put the money out. We reimburse you, sometimes up to 90%. It's usually 75. We reimburse you 75%, up to $10,000 for each show. So I know we have companies here that have used it each and every year to go to trade shows that are specific in their field. Again, those are for the more mature companies that are already starting out. But it's not just joining in with us. We have two that we're doing right now. That's one that's coming up in a couple of weeks, Oceanology. I'll be leading a group of 6 companies in the marine technology field to go to one of the largest trade shows that's happening in London. And what we'll do is we have a booth, a Rhode Island booth, and our 6 companies will be there showcasing themselves. I also will be there showcasing the state of Rhode Island, so that I'll be working with companies that are looking maybe for a place for a soft landing in North America, and they want to come to our booth to talk about it. Cecilia Perota is with me. She's the international trade specialist in our office, and she will be there with the companies, again, promoting the companies themselves. We'll be there, and that trade show is paid for 100% by the Chafee Center through the STEP grant. So they're coming, they apply to come in, and all they have to do is arrange their own travel and their own hotel there. But the trade show and the booth and the advertising and the pamphlets and all of the other things that go along with it are in our budget. So we're going there, that's full, but we have another show that's coming up in June, H2O, and that's in Halifax, Canada. And again, it's all around the blue economy, right? So we're looking for companies that way. And you can find all of that information here. If you look at the trade shows and the trade missions, it's going to redirect you. See this, send this email here? It's magic. That's going to go to the Chafee Center, because the Chafee Center holds the license for the World Trade Center Providence. I know it's a little confusing, but I'm also the director of the World Trade Center Providence as well. And what we do, we serve the whole state, and we do that here. What's the benefit of the World Trade Center? The World Trade Center, we have a network of 300 licenses throughout the world in 100 companies and 100 countries. So just think about that for a second. In a click, I can access my colleagues that are doing the same thing throughout the world that we do here. Everybody's looking at the foreign direct investment. Everybody's looking at the global trade. So how do we work together on that? We access all of those benefits through the World Trade Center. In a minute, we'll talk about our actual signature event, which is the World Trade Day, which is coming up. But that, in really, really broad strokes, is what we do with the World Trade Center and the Chafee Center at Bryant University. It's a resource that's available. Like I said, a lot of our services are free of charge or a very small amount. So you say, I want to look at one particular market. We connect you with our partners in the U.S. Commercial Service here, Keith Yamaguchi, who's been doing this for a very long time. He and Cecilia actually sit together one day a week at Commerce, Rhode Island. You'll confirm there, and it might be $300 or $500 that you have to invest to get that information. And when it comes back, you get a full report. If you do a more extensive report, again, it's reimbursed at 75%. So maybe you want something a deeper dive. Then you can look at all of those qualities as well. So there's a lot there, and there's a lot to offer. And, I think the most important thing that I can do is be the mouthpiece for international trade for the state of Rhode Island. And as you know, Laurie, I'm pretty good at talking, so and promoting Rhode Island. So that's what I like to do. The other thing is we are cheerleaders for businesses. Cecilia has a great way about her when she's talking to companies. She'll troubleshoot with you in terms of how do you build out? What do you do? And I think that that's really something that we can do to move forward for our state. So that's it. I'm gonna unpack our trade center, and then we can keep talking for as long as you want.
Okay, so tell us the date of World Trade Day. I know it's going to be at Bryant. The Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce is helping you and your team get the word
Yes.
out about the event. Very
Yes.
important event, one that
So-
we've attended in the past.
So our contributors and the chambers of commerce, especially Greater Providence, Northern Rhode Island Chamber, Newport Chamber, those are the ones that are contributors to this event. By again, you reaching out, it's all relationships. They'll get something from Eva-Marie Mancuso. How do I know her? What is she doing? Oh, World Trade Day. It's just another day. This is our 38th World Trade Day. And our topic this year is supply chain resiliency for exactly that reason. Everyone is going through big pains right now to try to make sure that they have some alternatives to the other markets that we've gone to as our go-to before. So we have some great speakers lined up. I'll give you the preview. I haven't done this yet, and they don't know, but our keynote speakers, and we have 3 throughout the course of the day confirmed. Our leading keynote speaker in the morning is David Nealman from Breeze, the CEO and president of Breeze, will speak in the morning. Then we'll do a panel and we'll talk about that, what it's like, the logistics right now, whether it's airports or ports, and we have lots of speakers that are coming in. I'm bringing in an expert from Panama to talk about Panama Canal, which is a really big issue right now in the global logistics. And then we pivot to lunch, and at lunch we're going to have our very own CEO, Cheryl Merchant, who is an amazing woman, and for many years was the head of the committee now for World Trade Day at Bryant, and she's going to talk about what she has done over the last 3 or 4 decades, as she said, and specifically talking about supply chain. And then our afternoon keynote speaker is Billy Thelman from Regentcraft, and he's amazing. He came to Rhode Island sight unseen. He's here, he's committed, and he's going to talk about his experience as well. In the middle, we're going to have lots of robust panels and discussions and opportunities, and more importantly, networking, right? Because it's all about relationships. Betty Robeson, who is the CEO and lead for the Chafee Center on World Trade Day, is the chair of the committee, and she's going to narrate the day for us. And again, that's what she does for a living. She's a freight forwarder, and global trade is what she does. So no better than to hear from the experts. We also have our government partners that will be there as well. So we're going to have a discussion and a whole room that's going to have a one-stop shop for SBA, SBDC, and all of the other government programs, Exim Bank, commercial service, and what have you. And the reason why I'm so fixated on the one-stop shop is because when we work so closely together that you come with the problem and say, this is what I want to do. We know how to triage them because we work together all the time. You have the problem, you have the issue, you have the want and the desire. It's up to us to figure it out so that we can help you lay out a path forward so that you can expand globally. And so I'm looking forward to that. We have other speakers coming. Sarah Morgenthau is coming in. She's at the United States Department of State. And we also have Canadian companies that are coming to talk about what it's like for AI in Canada, and talking about the security part as well as the technology, because we have all kinds of new technology that's out there that we can embrace and harness as long as we do it safely. So it's going to be a great day. It's May 22nd. We are going live. The website is live now. And it's World Trade Day, Bryant. That's the website. And you can go on and you can register. The early bird cost is $125. And I think that's pretty good. You get breakfast, lunch, networking, and a full day, a full robust day. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a beer garden, which is going to showcase, hopefully, our microbreweries here and a taste of Rhode Island. So we can, again, spend more time talking and conversing, and then by 4:30 we'll have you on the road back home. So it's a full day, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Okay, with that, Eva, you have covered the landscape. You didn't even need me at all to prompt you in this discussion. This has been fabulous. So May 22nd at Bryant University, World Trade Day, we will be there. We will be helping you to promote your new website and helping, most importantly, you in your new role and building relationships, not just throughout the Greater Providence Chamber, but throughout the entire business community, regionally and nationally.
Thank
So
you.
I want to thank you, Eva, for being with us. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
The best way is Mancuso at bryant.edu. So that's the easiest way. The Chafee Center here, that's our main line. You can always get to me that way as well. My personal email is the emancuso at bryant.edu. And yeah, I'm pretty accessible. I'm out there in the community, and you'll find that we're very responsive to companies. We try to get back to you right away. And like I said, the STEP grant, you should register now. Your company should register now, so you'll be ready to go. And then once you're registered and we know you in fact meet the definition, then you pick your trade show or you pick your onboarding, and we help you fund it.
All right. Well, fantastic. I know I've learned a lot today, and particularly the degree to which there are funding opportunities available so that businesses really have some help in getting into this and having some of those costs covered. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, Eva, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Lori.